Hey, hello. This is my second devlog. Decided to do it with a real microphone this time, so no strange intonations or differences in the sound quality. Yay! I'm gonna dive right into it. So first off, you see some numbers in the left upper corner. I've been dabbling with memory management and just making sure everything works well on lower-end systems, especially the Steam Deck, which is one of the base systems I aim for. To do that well, you need to not only look at the FPS, but you also need to look at memory management. That being said, everything I'm doing right now is in editor, so the actual load on memory as well as FPS is much higher than it would be on a normal playable build. I can say that right now everything works quite well on the deck. You easily get above 45 FPS, and memory management is also it's much lower, so I'm still very sure that you won't see sudden crashes or other strange things, and that's the goal of checking this the whole time, of course. I'm gonna get right into it, so I'm just gonna pick a new game. And right off the bat, you'll see that this main two classes that you can play with starting early access are still there, but I've also already placed the other two classes that I expect to release soon after the opening of early access, the latest early 2026. I wanted to show them off because I know what they're going to be, and I feel it's logical having them in the scene already. Other small things you'll see is that there's more description around classes. I thought that would be handy, and yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. Gonna pick a class. The adventurer, maybe we'll switch later on. You now have a nice piggy sound, by the way, which I love. So the idea of having a good action RPG is that you need a reason to be there. That's why you start off with a story. You need to ground the player in a reason to actually be there and do what he does or she does. For the adventure, it's very much aimed towards maybe coming from a background where you only thought about yourself, but learning that you might want to help others as well. I'm going to click through just to make sure that much of the story still stays a bit of a secret. So you might notice we now see the naming of areas on screen. Figured that would be handy. Also, lots more destructibles. And updated physics as well as particle effects for most of the shooting. Actually also for the hitting people. So these are still waypoints. I'm not sure if I showed them last time, but they've been heavily improved. The particles are better, they just look better and more logical, more grounded into the world. The lighting has been improved quite a bit as well. During play you'll notice it becomes night and day and night and day. I already had that in there last time, but I felt especially that graphically it didn't look well, so I rewrote the entire thing. A fun fact is that most of the world now reacts to it being night or day. For example, at night, lights will go on or off. Certain enemies will have a certain reaction to it being night or day. Like before, you have a set of skills to pick from. There's two things you can actually do. So at some point you get a special weapon, which has its own skill tree. We'll look at that later. The other thing is you have skill cards. So in this build, all skill cards are available. In the early access in October and also in the demo, the skill cards will be locked using your level. So I wanted to avoid you having everything at once. It's going to build up because you need a reason and a feel of wanting to progress. I'm going to keep it simple and choose an elemental card. This basically just gives a frost effect to your bullets, which is really fun because then you can freeze people and smash them. Like that guy. Aww. Okay, so I'm really proud of that effect because it looks so funny. So, there are many skills to choose from, and what you might notice is that there's actually 5 slots. They open up during play. The higher level you get, the more slots are free, so then you can start combining skills. Some things that are not allowed are multiple elemental skills, that kind of stuff. I wanted to make sure that you don't overpower yourself too easily. But I'll show later how that actually works. Another skill I've been working on is dual wielding. Now you might think, oh, that's not that hard, Raymond. There's dual wield in all sorts of games. Yeah, that's true, but making sure everything works in dual wield as well as just single shot is quite a bit more work than I actually thought. This is actually the skill where I learned that I needed some way of having any change to a character just work without having to code it for each individual change, if you know what I mean. So instead of having to code each skill separately in a separate thing, I wanted to make a system that allows you to have very different behaviors, all coming from the sort of same set of Lego blocks, so you could say. Which I got to work in the end, which is very handy because now I can make classes and skills that differ very much from each other in how they behave or what happens, but they gel together really well because of the base I actually made. Another thing I added are these little lore things. So I wanted to make sure that if you want to, you can get more information about the world, about what's happening, about why you're there or what happened before. But at the same time, I know not everyone likes this. I like it very much, but other players are more action oriented or maybe even just want to min-max their character and thrash through the story. So it's optional, but it's there, and I wanted it to look nice, and I think it really does. So yeah, I'm really proud of myself. I'm gonna go on now. You might notice small lighting improvements here as well. So every time I go through scenes, dungeons and stuff, I just try and update them and make them look prettier. And yes, you'll be hearing me sip a coffee now. You know, that's the downside of that really magical big microphone you all wanted me to get. You hear everything. You probably saw this before, but we have enemies coming out of the ground now as well. So this is new tech as well. I wanted to make sure that there's ways that enemies can come up or can come from some place or do something that, you know, scares you a bit or surprises you. Not all enemies do this, but I've made sure some can. And if I am right, at this point we will hopefully see some mages throwing fireballs at us. Because every good game needs mages that throw fireballs at you for some reason. Oh, there they are, yeah. Obviously they're on fire because that makes sense. And off we go to get our special weapon. Now, most of this will be narrated. Actually, all of the text and conversations you'll have will be narrated in the end. you'll notice later on that some of the conversations with NPCs already have been narrated by a very special, very good voice actor that I personally know very well. I've interviewed him once. His name is Raymond. Happens to be my name. That's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. He sounds completely different. Thank you, audio software. So maybe while we listen to the creepy voices, this is a good time to actually show you my map system. So I noticed that I almost was inclined to start drawing each map personally for each scene, for each dungeon. The programmer in me pretty soon found out that that was probably a very bad idea. So I made a system that actually it's kind of fun. It makes a picture of the a top-down view of the map of the world, and uses some nifty shaders to make it look nicer and more map-like. So the only thing I then have to do is start placing icons on it, and voila, you have a map. Now, is this perfect? No, of course not. It's not. You can actually see it in this example. But it gives a very good baseline for me to work with and to make prettier. So this speeds up my work like immensely. Now you might ask yourself, what are those voices that I'm hearing? I don't know yet. I don't know everything. Sometimes this just comes up to me and I'm like, oh, that really sounds cool and scary, and that's all it is. So yeah, will there be a reason? Of course. Of course there will be. Have I thought it up yet? Nope. Nope. That's how it goes in game development. I'm gonna kill the boss real quick. Fun fact, apparently, Anpu is the actual name that Anubis was called before the Greeks or the Romans, I think, started calling him Anubis. Never knew. So, the other important aspect of your class is your special weapon. In the case of the adventure, it's a bow, and the bow unlocks skills that you can get for the bow. You might notice not all skills are there yet, so I've placed this thing is just not built yet in early access image there. Unlocking it gives you the bow, and you can shoot stuff. It's a special weapon, so just like it sounds, it's quite powerful. You can't use it too much, and you can use it for special things like unlocking areas. So let's head back to the gate that we couldn't get through, but why not use a waypoint? So I just used a waypoint. You basically teleport to wherever you want to go, and you use your map to do so. Using ice can be done, but you can also, of course, burn enemies. It's also very fun to do. And as you could see, actually in our quest log, the thing we wanted to do is find the Omda, and I think we've just found them.
Fools! What are you doing outside the city walls? It is much too dangerous. Come in quick. The hordes are coming. Find shelter among our houses. Though I'm not sure our old walls will be enough to keep them away. You would risk your life for those you do not yet know. You are different from the cowards that came through here and plundered our humble city before. I will. Everyone, retreat to your homes. Stay inside until I say so. Now! I wish you strength and the guidance of the gods. Survive, my friend.
So, after that excellent voice acting that I cannot state enough is the most perfect, voice acting we ever heard. I'm sure you'll agree. We get treated to a little attack. So what we're actually looking at is some tech I made. Sometimes you just want to be overwhelmed by enemies. And you want it to be bound to a quest or to a point in a quest. So I made tech that basically works in a way that it gives you waves of enemies until you're done with a boss, a little boss. Going back to skills, you now see that we actually can equip 2 skills. So, for example, by not using ammo boost, and now we have, once I reload, way more bullets. Which is very handy because reloading takes time, and when you're attacked, you don't want that to happen. You might also notice it became night. Told you, night and day system. The lights are on now, the torches go on in the city, that kind of stuff. All in all, it looks pretty cool, to be honest. Now, I know what you're thinking. I want more of that completely perfect voice acting, but I didn't do everything just yet. I did it more as an example and a way to find out if voice acting audio works well. So maybe it's good to stand still here and listen to the music a bit. I'm very glad to announce that for the first time in my life I've actually had contact with a musician to make music for my game. I think it's working out pretty well. So, from the more technical side on music, the music system actually takes into account what's happening, as well as where you are. So there's actually a little bit of dynamism behind where you are, what you are doing, and that affects the music. Like the quest says, we need to find a reason why the well is stuck. I think we found it. It's slimy over here. Let's see if we can do something about it. It's probably obvious, but maybe good to state that each level you go up, your stats go up. So when I say stats, things like this. Guess that's the reason. Again, map system, so if you want to go back to the entrance, for example, you can easily do so. So by this point it's become day again. As you can see, torches are off. All sorts of things are different. I'll build up on that, of course, in the coming weeks. Gonna skip through this. And let's see how we're going to journey further into the desert. So now we are in the deep desert. Basically, this is the main open world. The city is part of it as well, but this is where you go and find all sorts of stuff, all sorts of advancements in your main quest. The first act will take place here. So with a longer quest line already being built, there's more areas that you can just go and see. For the demo in October, we're gonna try and at least have an hour of gameplay, well, about. I'm rushing through it really fast, so I think we're almost there already. Again, I'm gonna skip through story parts, but the general idea is that we need to help the people of this world to actually get rid of the heretic king. A king who's been awoken by, of course, the Nazis, because, you know, it's 1939, it's always the Nazis. And in their reckless desire for power, they did something dumb again, which we have to solve. So from the technical side and more the why side, we have two factions of enemies, right? So one's more magical, allowing us to have mummies and all sorts of strange creatures fighting against you. The other are human. They're the Nazis, the mean guys, the eternal enemy. And they are alive. So that allows for different behavior, like soldiers shooting at you. Or someone with a flamethrower. Ha! Let me do this properly. So, with a lot of new tech already in there, a lot of new parts of the world being built, the story being written further, we're coming along quite nicely with Under a Desert Sun. I hope you keep up with us and join us at next fest, because that will be just awesome. In the meantime, you know, leave a comment, wishlist of course, and if you like what you see, join the Discord. Still looking for testers, so if you want to, let us know, especially Steam Deck users. And talk to you soon, I guess. Bye!